And now, it's time for a story. A dark tale designed to scare the living daylights out of you. It begins in a small town in northeast New England, where for centuries the children were scared out of their wits every time they tried to reach the promontory overlooking the cape. To do this, one had to cross a deep, mysterious wood and climb a large hill to get there. And if you tried, you would always be turned back by thunder and lightning and huge winds that would spring up, driving you right into the ground, making you seek shelter. They say the promontory was a witching ground, and anyone reaching it successfully would become a hero, the talk of the town. Lately, an ominous dark cloud was seen hanging over the promontory. It never moved. There were strange, moaning sounds coming from the adjoining cemetery. Groans and shrieks and laughs were heard sometimes in the middle of the night. The town librarian found an old registry book in the old basement of City Hall. The land was purchased over 300 years ago by someone in Switzerland. In spite of the wonderful view, nothing was ever built there. In the middle of the town lived a young boy named Tom Gallagher, whose passion was computers. He had a printer, a powerful hard drive, a large screen, games, and other software to entertain and educate him. And he had a modem, a telephone link to the far corners of the globe. One ordinary night, while surfing the internet, he stumbled onto the darknet. His excitement mounted because he had never seen it before. Springing onto the screen as if by magic, he clicked to enter. The screen glowed purple and then a sickening green. The letters were formed by thin dancing flames, red and bright orange, as if springing from the pits of hell. The keyboard was hot to his touch. The screen radiated heat, turning his cheeks crimson. Sweat poured down his forehead. Suddenly, a demonic figure appeared on the screen, calling Tommy by name.
Tommy! Tommy!
It was an ever-changing shape. First huge and menacing, its lips leering and snarling. A hump appeared on its back and suddenly disappeared. Hands with huge talons, feet with hooves, and a tail forked at the end. Tommy froze, gasping for breath. He felt as if someone was choking him. The veins stood out on his neck. His eyes bulged out of their sockets. A horrible weight pressed on his chest. He felt like he was ready to explode. Suddenly, the figure began to speak in a melodious voice, almost beautiful, and his form changed to that of a stately cloaked figure with a plumed hat. His beauty was bewitching, his voice beguiling. He spoke of the wonderful discoveries awaiting our hero on the dark net if he pledges himself to obey its secrets. Tommy began to relax as he heard the words.
Welcome again, Tommy, to the dark net.
A soothing, hypnotic joy filled his being. The figure spoke on, telling the boy that he would give him safe passage through the dark wood to the top of the promontory, and that he would be the first in 300 years to reach that goal. Once there, he would meet with the spirits of the mountain and learn all the mysterious secrets of the dark net. Tommy, in a trembling voice, asked, "Who are you?" The voice told him that he was a friend of all who seek a higher state of life. "But who was that devil-like creature I first saw?" asked Tommy.
That question will be answered when you reach your goal on the mountain. Then you will learn all there is to know.
Tommy always desired to be the first to reach the top of that promontory, and he was drawn deeper and deeper into the spell cast by that dark net figure. And now, in a trance, he waited to hear more. He was told to stand alone at the edge of the graveyard leading into the dark wood the next day at twilight and wait for the sun to descend and the last rays of light disappear beyond the horizon. He would hear this sound of a flute playing a magic song. He must follow the sound, which would lead him through. And now, the figure slowly faded away. And then the screen turned black. The next morning, Tommy awoke with a start and rushed to the computer as if not believing what he had seen. Was it a dream? He tried to access the dark net. Strangely, the screen would not respond. He rushed to the phone and called his friend Susan. He must share this with her. Susan became very excited after hearing the story and insisted on going with him that day into the forest. He told Susan he must go alone, but promised to share all that happens with her. Susan was disappointed and agreed to wait, but only if he would take her the next time. Tommy was still uncertain about going. Was it a trick? Was there real danger? Then he remembered the soothing voice and the promise of reward if he followed the instructions of the dark net. It was a wonderful feeling to be on the verge of great discovery. He would go, and he would triumph. And now it was twilight, and the owls sent messages through the trees. The bats were out of their caves. A horned moon was hanging pale in the sky. The sun slowly descended, and the fading light vanished into blackness. Tommy stood breathless at the edge of the graveyard, ready to begin his journey. He moved toward the sound of the flute, moving stiffly through the graveyard. He was surrounded by strange, chilling, diabolical sounds. What could it be? His heart was pounding. Something was tugging at his arm. A hand from a grave? Oh, it was only a branch. He froze. Footsteps. Was he being followed? Gosh, what kind of a cat was that? Tommy began to run through the forest, branches magically moving away, making a path. He was going through. He would make it. There was a ghostly, hazy light at the top of the promontory. He could hear the faint sound of the surf below the cliff. Hello? Is anyone here? Master? No answer. He was alone in the clearing, and in the center was a stone slab surrounded by a circle of white stones. Suddenly, an invisible force threw him on his knees. He desperately struggled, but he couldn't move. And then, suddenly out of the air, he heard,
"The demons of darkness are around you. You are kneeling in front of the sacrificial altar. You have been chosen by us to become the messenger of death. Close your eyes and listen. The demons in your world are made, not born. Demons are chosen to execute the work of the devil. To become a demon, you must do the most evil deed of all. You must kill. You must murder."
Suddenly, the booming voice stopped, and a voice whispered in Tommy's ear.
"You, Tommy, have been chosen to become a demon. You have been first to become one using the dark net. First you, Tommy, and then millions of others will become demons. Then the entire universe will be in our control. Think of it as a universe of demons, and then he who is most low will rule forever."
A pair of red eyes glowed in front of him. Tommy could not move his eyes away. He slowly sank into a trance. The voice continued in an eerie tone.
"Listen, my little demon. You will bring a sacrifice to these grounds. At the next full moon, we have chosen the victim for you. We know of a young girl with flaming red hair and sea green eyes who lives in your town. She is trusting and most innocent. She is your dear friend, Susan. You will bring her here and behead her with this golden sword.
The sword appeared on the altar as if by magic.
Take it and bury it under the altar until the full moon beckons you to the sacrifice. Under my spell, you will do all this. Now go, but remember, you will know nothing of this. But all you must do later will lie hidden in your subconscious mind. Now, bury the sword and go.
Tommy turns and stumbles drunkenly, blindly through the woods, as if possessed. Ah, my dear listener, have you ever been hypnotized or put under a spell? Have you heard of mysterious disappearances and deaths? Can you believe such things really do happen? You know they do. And another innocent victim is about to be taken unless something or someone can save her. The next morning, in the attic, Susan found Tommy staring at the computer screen. Susan senses that something is wrong. Suddenly, the screen comes on, a sickly green. Flaming letters appear, but no voice is heard. The lettering on the screen is a greeting with a series of menu choices. Choose 1,000 names for the devil, evil spells and incantations, curses, amulets, and magic potions. Wow, this is great, says Susan. I've sometimes dreamt of witches. They frighten me. I've seen some of their gruesome pets in my dreams. 3-horned goats, werewolves, black cats, and clammy bats. Oh, yes, Susan was enthralled with witches. And look at this, she said. Famous witches and warlocks. And this, said Tommy in a trembling voice, methods of human sacrifice. Let's read that one. He reached over and clicked the mouse.
These secrets can only be known if you have been purified and given the magic access words. You do this by following Tommy to the top of the parapet at the first full moon.
Oh my, says Susan. Do you think we dare go? Tommy firmly tells Susan that she must go. The master of the darknet commands it. We both must go and wait for the coming of the full moon. Susan thinks Tommy sounds very strange, shrugs her shoulders and says, oh, sounds very scary, but... She glances once more at the black screen and says, I'm willing. Let's do it. The night of the full moon has arrived. The following events took place at the dark promontory. Susan and Tommy reached the witching ground. This time, all the witches and demons were assembled, and Tommy, now in a deep, deep trance, reaches for the golden sword. Susan was put into a deep hypnotic state by the master, her slim body draped over the cold stone altar. There were incantations and secret words said over the body, and Tommy, sword in hand, stood above her. As he lifted to strike, a huge bolt of lightning flashed through the dark cloud above the ground. The witches, screaming, scattered and fled. The master escaped into the woods. Susan and Tom lay across each other, unconscious. The next morning, the local paper reported that several bolts of lightning came out of the dark cloud hanging over the promontory. Once again, it appears that the forces of darkness were around the wood and warned everyone to stay away. At dawn, 2 figures were seen stumbling from the woods. They were spied by 2 runners. Nothing else was known. The two small figures, Tom and Susan, trying to recover from their ordeal, reached the attic and collapsed on the floor. Neither could remember exactly what had happened to them. Susan only remembered screaming as she saw the sword in Tommy's hand and the brilliant flash of lightning that struck the circle. Tommy lifts his head and gazes at Susan. Susan begins to sob quietly. "Tommy, did you really mean to kill me?" "Of course not. How could I? How could I even think of doing that?" Susan begs Tommy never to contact the darknet again, or to even think of going into the dark wood ever again. "Promise. You must promise me, or our beautiful friendship will end." "I promise with all my heart," said Tommy. "Thank you," said Susan, and exhausted, she falls asleep. Suddenly, the computer screen throbs to life. A strange warmth flows into Tommy's fingers as he moves clumsily toward the computer. As he does, the screen oozes a sick green color. And then, the face of the master appears.
Do you think you can go against our plan of sacrifice? It's not so easy. How dare you, you little worm? How dare you promise Susan that you would never bring her among us again? You will. Come to me, worm. Come to me now. We must meet now and have a very serious talk about this.
Tommy feels himself growing weak.
Now, Tommy, you must come now.
Tommy feels as if he's being sucked deeper and deeper into a strange place. He sees deathly shapes, fog, and fire all around. Where am I? What's happening? Tommy's spirit has been sucked into the computer. His almost lifeless body remains on the attic floor. Once again, without command, the computer screen lights up in a beautiful sky blue color. An almost ethereal sound moves through the speakers, rising higher and higher in intensity. Susan is awakened by the sound and screams when she sees Tommy's lifeless body on the floor in front of the computer. She shakes him and pleads with him to wake up, but there is no response. Susan is in a panic. And then the computer begins to blink frantically. The word Susan is flashed on the screen with a written command. She sits at the keyboard and follows instructions to access the internet page in front of her. She enters the code and reads, "Welcome, Susan. Welcome to the LightNet. The LightNet awaits your entry. If you will press Alt-5 and find the menu, you will find us." There is only one line on the menu page. It reads, "Rescue instructions." Susan excitedly enters, and the following message appears. "Welcome, Susan. We are the protectors of the human race. Since creation, we have prevented the forces of darkness from controlling the earth and its people. We were informed by one of our messengers that a dark page was created on the internet for the purpose of controlling the human race and creating an evil empire. We were watching when you were led to the witching ground. It was our power that sent the bolt of lightning to free you of the sacrifice. We have always watched places of witchery and always saved those who were to become victims." Susan interrupts on her keyboard. "Please, can you tell me what happened to Tommy? He's lying there so still. It appears, though, that he's still alive. Patience. Tommy's body is alive, but his spirit has been taken by the darknet. But we believe we have a way of saving him. We have only just become familiar with the use of computers and how the internet works. When we heard the darknet was created, we went to work trying to find a way to destroy it. And we have. We have created a computer virus, and with your help, We can send that virus to penetrate and destroy every corner of the dark net completely. A computer virus so wonderfully simple and yet so powerful that no force in the universe can reverse its action. Even the devil himself will be powerless. Because Tommy is trapped in your computer, the virus must originate here. Do this through your modem as usual. Now, if you are ready, we can begin. Type the access code to the dark page now. Susan does so, her fingers trembling. And now you must press your disk release button and you will find that a golden floppy disk will pop out. You must reinsert it and follow our instructions carefully. If you don't, we may fail. You will see the icon of the golden disk. You will click enter and wait. What took place in the attic that day was a fusion of magic and technology, the coming together of mysticism and science. The virus ate its electronic way through the dark net. Whatever evil lived there would die, except for one, Tommy, whose spirit was pure of heart and innocent. He was able to return through the microchip jungle, reversing all the dark magic that had sucked his spirit through. Susan watched as Tommy's body began to stir. His spirit had broken free and was assuming his body. Susan hugged and kissed him and told him the amazing story about the angels, because they truly were, and the light net. How a simple computer virus had destroyed the dark net forever, and the master, his demons, and witches lie lifeless, never to be seen or heard from again. And so, my friends, be pure of heart, resist temptation, and be assured that you are forever safe from the dark net. So, you may surf the internet, my friend, to your heart's content. Go to your keyboards without fear and surf away.
Things are seldom what they seem.
Happy haunting.